A very good morning to you and to our viewers at home. Of course, it's been a waiting game for travelers from China and those in South Africa going to China as Air China has not been operational. That lane was closed at the peak of COVID-19. So it's been 3 years when you look at it since that flight, Air China, touched down here in South Africa. But this morning, a hive of activity at the Tambo International Airport, as we saw a group of about 16 of those travelers from China touching down from flight CA 867 that was supposed to have touched down at 7:30 but was a bit delayed. Earlier on, you missed a hive of activity in terms of those that were welcomed here. There were the dancers, Zulu dancers, chanting and singing and just inviting some of those travelers that have come into South Africa to join in. They were welcomed with the South African flag just for them to feel at home. But I'm going to bring into the conversation now Mr. John, your correctors, Mr. Zhang, who's coming through to speak to us about really the hive of activity that we see here. We know very well that the president of China was here, Xi Jinping, last year, and we saw earlier this year as well, the vice premier's son also here to try and convince the South African government and give them an update in terms of where we are, where the closure and the opening of this lane is concerned. Today, we are seeing that become a reality. Welcome to the SABC.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. This is really a very exciting morning. Today we received the very first tour group from China after the pandemic. It's not a terribly huge one, but it's a very good beginning. It happens in a time with a special meaning for the two countries. This year is the 25th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between China and South Africa. This year also, South Africa just took over the Rotary chairmanship of BRICS from China. So this year, the BRICS summit is going to be hosted here in South Africa. And the two countries are standing on a very good new point, a new starting point for further cooperation. I think the needs for communications, for face-to-face meetings, for visiting each other's countries has been hindered by the COVID during the last 2 or 3 years. Now it is released. As you mentioned, Vice Premier Sun was here in February, which will unveiled a series of intergovernmental relations which is going to happen this year. We will be patient and we will see very exciting ones. And on the people-to-people ground, today's group is a very good beginning. The tourist visits is an important part of the people-to-people exchanges between our two countries. Our two countries have a very close relations. We call them brothers plus sisters. We are very good with each other. We understand each other. We are being good to each other. We do a lot of trade. China has been the #1 trading partner for South Africa for 14 consecutive years. And our relations on international ground is also very good. And today we witnessed a very good starting point, a very good beginning of the people-to-people exchanges. We also have very good exchanges of students. I also want to let you know that it's not only Chinese visitors coming here. South Africans are also going to China because we issue visas. I can tell you that from the number of visas we issue each day, we see a fastly growing trend of South Africans going to China, either to work, to study, or to make tours, which is very, very good, very exciting.
It's an exciting one indeed. I mean, those relations are definitely going to be solidified between or by these efforts here of opening Air China. But maybe just let our viewers in on, are we out of the woods yet where COVID-19 is concerned in China? Because we know very well that China for the longest of time even went to impose, zero COVID movements and restrictions, harsher restrictions where COVID-19 is concerned. But we are seeing here that there's been a movement in the opening of this route where Air China is concerned. Are we out of the woods yet, or are we still concerned about the resurgence of COVID-19?
Well, during a pandemic, China has made very strict measures to tackle against the pandemic, which those measures have been very, very successful. By comparison, during the past 3 years of the COVID, China only about 100,000 people passed away. But comparing with other nations, I don't want to name their names, but they have more than 500,000 people passed away. And we think of the population size, that China is that the number of casualties is a lot smaller than the other countries. So does South Africa. We have been cooperating and helping each other in doing that. As the development of COVID has been going, we have adjusted the measures to cope with COVID. From the end of last year and the beginning of this year, we readjusted many measures, and now we can see we have in China, we can't say on behalf of other countries, but in China we have won the battle against COVID right now, but we stay alert of future possibilities of having it occur or in some one way or the other. We also keep alert to other pandemics. During the experience of coping with COVID, we have gained some experience on fighting against such health hazards. So it's on the other way, it is also helpful.
Mr. Zhou, thank you very much, sir, for your time and everything of the best where this event here is concerned and those tourists coming from China. He's coming through. I'm going to say his name. It's Mr. Zhou. He is, of course, I'll tell you now, Yu Jiang Zhou. He's the Deputy Consul for China right here in Johannesburg. And, of course, talking about the exciting moment as we saw those tourist travelers, just a hive of activity here on the ground. We are told that they're going to be moving at around 10:30 from Tambo International Airport into the Cape Town International Airport. They'll be moving to Cape Town to enjoy their tourism. It's a destination for them. They'll be coming back again here to Johannesburg. But this is the beginning, the first of many flights from Air China that will be traveling in and out of South Africa. It's back to you in studio.